Hello and welcome to the Web O Mystery. I'm Mr. Weber, but please call me John. Um, yeah, boy, the show we've got for you tonight is something that I love. I love this show. Yours truly, Johnny Dollar. Really, just an outstanding show from old time radio, and we're gonna play it and listen to it together. And I welcome your comments. I'm always happy to add whatever information I can to make it a more pleasant time. And look at this! Look at this! Barry the K has shown up. Our friend Stevie has shown up. Hi, Stevie. Stevie, aka Moral Crackpot. Yes, love right back at you. Right back at you, Stevie and Barry, and anyone who's watching right now. We're thrilled to have you. This is a short episode. It's just a little over 20 minutes. So here's what I'm going to do, because this show usually comes in around an hour. I'm going to play an extra show as I like to now and again. And I'm on this new thing. It saves me a lot of work. So I hope you'll forgive me once again for not personally making the video for the radio show. I go out, I find people who have posted radio shows that I wanted to play for you, and I like to promote them too, because it's very lonely posting old time radio shows on YouTube. Very, very lonely. You know what I haven't done yet? I haven't played the open to our show. That's the beginning. That's the beginning.
Mr. Weber's Web O Mystery.
I always consider the most ridiculous thing I've done, having my name in big letters with flame. That's a joke. I don't take myself that seriously. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Okay, so let's get the show started, shall we? I'm gonna let the opening credits cover me while I go to share screen and then choose that. Well, look at that. It just dumped out. Good. I wanted it to. I wanted that to happen. Okay. So here we are. Let's take a look at this. Unsolved Mysteries. I've played this before in my previous show, Haunted Radio from Space. Yeah, it was not a really successful show, but it was fun. It was fun, and a lot of us were there, and we had fun. But this is a different episode, and it's called A Perfect Crime. This is from 1936, and really, it's so funny to try to share unsolved mysteries because there's almost no information about this show. It, in and of itself, is a mystery. It was sent out to radio stations. It has space for commercials. So there's a lot of music, and I'll be talking over it, that just sits there and kind of plays, and you're supposed to go, well, it's brought to you by Kleiman Brothers Department Store, 442 Main Street, Kleiman Brothers. Stop by tomorrow and say hello to one or all of the Kleiman Brothers. You know, it's a sort of anonymous kind of a show. I don't even know the company that made it. I can tell you that the announcer host was Stanley Payton. And that's it. That's all I can say. It's from 1936. It was in syndication. They would send records out to radio stations, and you would play the show, and then they would go, hey, they're playing us. Other radio stations, you should play us too. I'm not sure it was ever successful. And of course, it's called Unsolved Mysteries, and we all know that that's the show starring Robert Stack that debuted in the late 80s. And they're not the same thing at all. Not at all. Well, maybe a little bit, because they both are involved with unsolved mysteries. Anyway, let's get this show started, shall we? This episode is called The Perfect Crime. Feel free to make any comment you want in the comment section. I will comment right back as we listen.
Unsolved Mysteries. Out of deference to people who may still be living, character names in some of these true unsolved mysteries have been changed. Tonight's unsolved mystery is based on records of the New York Police Department. It is called The Perfect Crime because it has never been solved, even by the most brilliant minds of the New York Police. It is the crime that experts, after complete investigation, state could not have happened, yet they know that it did happen.
Now, I'm going to tell you that this is from an account called A Room with a Past. And it sounds good. It's good audio quality. So, cheers to them. I have no idea what the audio sounds like right now. They might be much louder than they need to be. I'm, of course, talking over the part of the show where you go, Rod's Tires is proud to present Unsolved Mysteries. Rod's Tires. Go down there and meet Rod. Have him sell you some tires. There we go. I know, there's a lot of announcing. Be sure to visit Rod's wife, Dorothy. Dorothy won't sell you tires. And now, Unsolved Mysteries. Oh my gosh. And Rod and Dorothy's daughter, Donna might be there. Say hello to Donna. And she won't sell you tires either. That's Rod's job. But Donna makes muffins. You might want to pick up one of those, maybe two. A Room with a Past.
The scene is Isidore Fink's Little Hand Laundry at 52 East 132nd Street, New York. The fitful light from the smoke-grimed street lamp only serves. Isidore Fink shuffles out of the cigar store across the street from his laundry, draws his threadbare jacket tightly about him, as if to protect himself from the penetrating drizzle, then crosses the muddy street and unlocks the two heavy padlocks on his laundry door. The clerk sees Isidore glance fearfully up and down the darkened street before he closes the door and bolts it on the inside. The transom above the door fills with a diffused glow of light as Isidore turns the switch on the old carbon filament lamp hanging from the ceiling.
Poor old devil. Gonna work half the night again to earn 2 bits. No, guess I was wrong. He put the light out. Officer T! Officer T!
What's the matter? What's up?
Didn't you hear the shots?
I thought it was an automobile backfiring. I was standing down there in the corner. Where was it?
Over in Fink's laundry.
All right, we're coming. Who is she?
An old woman who rents the back half of Isidore Fink's store.
You got a phone in your cigar store?
Yes.
Well, better go down there and call up the station.
Okay, officer.
This door is locked on the inside.
Officer, what happened?
I don't know yet. Is there any other way into the store?
Oh, yes, through my room, but the door's bolted on his side.
Well, I can't break this door down. It's too strong. You sure there's no other way in but through your room?
You can't get through that way either. That door is as strong as this one.
Well, I can't get through that transom. Here, one of you kids. Which one of you climb through that transom?
I will, officer.
All right, you folks. Stand back there. Come on, kid.
Okay.
I'll lift you up. Now then.
Yeah.
That's it. Now, take my nightstick. Break the glass. Hey, watch out. Don't cut yourself. Now, through you go. Drop down on the other side and draw that bolt.
Okay, officer.
Wonder where that light switch is. Ah, here we are. Good heavens.
Is he dead?
Yes, killed himself. What's up here? Come in, Sergeant. Old Isidore bumped himself off. Where's the gun, Pete? Haven't been able to find it yet. All right, boys. We'll take a look.
Okay, Sarge. Sure, Sarge.
Look? Where? No place to look except under that table. The room's bare.
Oh, hello, Coroner. Give him
Sergeant. What have we here? Grand case of suicide. Just looking around for the gun. Suicide, eh? You think so? Sure as your barn. No powder burns. A shot in the head would have killed him. Gun was at least 2 feet away. Sorry, gentlemen. From the looks of the wounds, I'm forced to decide that it was murder. And since there's no trace of a gun, the killer carried it off.
Impossible. The place was bolted on the inside. Nobody could have got out of here. I had to get this kid here to break the transom, crawl through to open the door.
Yeah, and I haven't got the gun. What would I want with a gun?
All right. How about that window?
That window, Sarge, it's the only window in the place, and it's barred on the inside with bars so close a cat couldn't get between them.
Not only that, the frame is nailed in place.
So's the transom frame, nailed in place.
This door leading to the other room hasn't been open for years. Look at the cobwebs. This bolt here is rusted in place. Take a hammer to move it. Wait here a minute. We've got to be reasonable. Somebody got in here and killed old Isidore, and then they got out. Now, this is a single room, 1 window and 1 transom. 2 doors, both bolted on the inside. Both window and transom nailed in place.
And no fireplace. Nothing to hide behind. No cupboards.
Then the killer must have come in here into the room with him. No, he didn't. Oh, how do you know? Who are you? I'm the clerk in the cigar store across the street. Oh, the fellow that called us on the phone? Yes, Isidore came into my store tonight, bought a pack of cigarettes, and said he was going in to do some more laundry. I saw him cross the street.
Your eyes never left him? Not for a second?
No, I watched him cross, saw him open the door and go inside, and then I saw the light go on. A few moments afterward, the light went out, and then the 3 shots. Say, this ain't reasonable.
You're telling me? I got the jitters now.
It must be a trap door or something. A trap door? Look at that rough plank floor and tell me it's got a trap door in it. No, I guess you're right at that. Well, there's nothing more we can do here. You sure nobody touched the body?
Of course I'm sure.
What difference does that make, Sergeant? The murderer is what we want now. And he's not going to be easy to find. Any murderer that can get out of this room.
Yeah, through 2 bolted doors and 2 nailed windows. I tell you, Sarge, the thing's spooky.
Well, come on. We'll get back to headquarters and get the fingerprint boys out here. All right, lads. Come on. For 24 hours, a corps of detectives went over every inch of the one-room laundry for signs of revolver, trap doors, or secret panels. The most expert fingerprint men in New York's police department worked on the case. And aside from the fingerprints of the police and Isidore himself, not a thing was found. At first, the police worked with zest, then irritability, finally in complete bewilderment. The scene is police headquarters 6 months later. Well, boys, what can you tell me about this Fink murder? Not a thing more than our first report, Chief. Now listen, Sergeant, we're not going to let that 2 for a cent Fink murder get us down. Not going to, Chief. It has.
Me too, Chief. I was within 50 feet of that laundry when the shots were fired. I know nobody left that building.
Well, the murderer did. I'm beginning to wonder about that, Chief. What do you mean? Well, listen, Chief. The front door was bolted on the inside. Yes, I know, and the back room door was bolted, too, and the windows were nailed in place. No place to hide. But, boys, the murderer got away, and that's what hurts. Got clean away. Chief, I've been a long time on the force, and I'm not superstitious. But something happened in there that night that the books don't tell us how to solve. Listen, Sergeant. That murder was brutal. It was physical. Get me? Physical, nothing else. We're not going to have the New York Police Department throw up a case and blame it on spooks.
Just about what I'm ready to blame it on, Chief.
The thing that gets me down, Chief, is the total lack of motive. Yeah, that does make it hard. I've gone through the file on his private life till I know it like a book. Little bit of an undersized fellow from Galicia. Works for 10 years in the laundry, doesn't make a friend, doesn't have an enemy. Saves $1,000 and opens his own laundry. Works like a dog, 18 hours a day, and makes a bare living. No women in his life, nothing to rob him of, not a reason in the world for killing him. Hello? Yes? Okay, right away. All right, boys, better forget it. There's more to worry about. What, Chief? A gang killing down the tunnel. Let's go. 5 years have passed, and the New York police know as little today as they did the night of the murder. The feeling of the entire police department can be summed up in the cryptic expression of the chief. That 2 for a cent Fink mystery gives me the creeps. In just a moment, you will hear a solution to the perfect crime.
That 2-bit Fink murder gives me the creeps. Me too. Well, it's an unsolved mystery. I mean, that is the name of the show. Well, poor Isidore Fink, killed in a locked room. They say a cat couldn't get in there, so most of the cats are not suspects. I'm convinced one or two cats could get in there. Come on, they're cats. Listen to me vamping for unsolved mysteries. Dun, 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 dun. I've heard some people say that this theme song reminds them of the theme song from Tales of the Crypt on HBO. I don't hear it, but people have said it.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Good.
inasmuch as any solution must of necessity be supposition, liberties of time, place, and character have been taken in the solution for which you have been waiting. The scene is number 52 East 132nd Street, Isidore Fink's Little Hand Laundry, the night of the murder. Isidore says goodnight to the clerk in the cigar store across the street from his laundry, and crossing the dimly lighted street unlocks the two heavy padlocks on his laundry door. Isidore slips inside, closes and bolts the door behind him. The rough board flooring creaks beneath his feet as he crosses the floor to the light switch. He reaches out in the dark. The switch clicks.
You, sir.
Yes, Isidore.
You found me.
Yes, Isidore, I found you. Strange, Isidore, but true. I found you. Isidore, I am going to kill you.
Oh, no. Have mercy.
No, Isidore, I have no mercy. I am going to put out the light, Isidore, and then I am going to kill you. You are going to die, knowing that I shall live on after you are gone.
But you can't. You'll be caught.
Oh, no, Isidore. I shall not be caught. You bolted the door on the inside, Isidore. And when the police come, they will have to send someone through the transom. That will be after you are dead, Isidore. And then, when the policeman steps into the room, it will be in the dark. I shall step backwards out of the room. And when the lights go on, Isidore, I shall be one of the curious, morbid crowd about the door, looking horror-stricken upon your dead body. I am going to put out the light, Isidore.
Oh, come on. That's the solution. Oh, man. Yes, I will walk out backwards, and no one will wonder where the man walking backwards out of the room came from. And it'll be because the lights were out. How clever. This is why you lock down a murder scene. Can I just say, this is why. So this show lasted for a year and no more. It was, however, preserved because it was sent out to radio stations on records. And not every radio show was ever recorded. Like a lot of times, these syndicated shows are the easiest ones to find, even if they're as obscure as this one, Unsolved Mysteries. So there you go. A perfect murder? Please, just because this show makes murder seem really easy, do not commit that crime. Please, I'm begging you. Meanwhile, Robert Stack made an excellent TV show called Unsolved Mysteries, and I tell everyone, if you don't like the radio show, check out the TV show. It was very good. Stevie says, they said a perfect murder, not a perfect murder mystery. Nailed it. Nailed it. Oh, okay. Let's go to the main feature. The main feature of the show tonight is yours truly, Johnny Dollar. I would love to tell you there are a million stories about this show. There aren't really. This show is a very straight ahead show. What's really special about yours truly, Johnny Dollar, is it lasted quite a few years and it was considered one of the best shows. People really loved it at the time. And you got to remember in the 1950s, people, much like in the 1930s when they were buying radios, in the 1950s, they were buying their first television. So a lot of families that had never had a TV before, had radio, were buying a TV and then, spending more time watching TV than listening to the radio. Very few shows were still on the air at the end of the 1950s, well, the late 1950s. And then even fewer shows lasted past 1960. But one of them was yours truly, Johnny Dollar. The final year of the show is not considered, its absolute best, but in the 50s, and we're going to hear an episode from 1956, late 1956. This episode is kind of in the sweet spot. There was two versions in the 50s of yours truly, Johnny Dollar. One was this half-hour version. It comes in, under half an hour. Which is why I made you listen to Unsolved Mysteries. But there was also a 15-minute version that aired from Monday through Friday. And that had the episode we're going to hear is when they went back to the half-hour format from the 15-minute nightly format, weeknightly format. And during that period of time, they were doing some of the best investigative mystery shows that anyone was doing. And Johnny Dollar is not exactly a radio detective. He's an insurance investigator. He lives in Hartford, Connecticut, because, that's where all the insurance companies were at the time. And he gets sent out to investigate claims. Companies don't necessarily want to pay out their claims. Hey, things haven't changed at all with insurance, have they? So they send out Johnny Dollar to investigate whether the claim is good or not before paying out. Johnny Dollar then charges them. This is capitalism meets crime solving. I find it fun. What can I say? I'm an American. This is entertaining to me. So the 15 minutes per weeknight was a great run. People really enjoyed it, but CBS wanted to make this show a half-hour show. And they had great actors. The star at this time was a man named Bob Bailey. And I love Bob Bailey's voice. I hope you like it as much as I do. So, okay, enough of my yakking. Let's go to our good friend Johnny Dollar. You're going to hear a phone ring. Johnny Dollar answers it. We get our teaser for the show. Very clever introduction of that device. There's a teaser. I'm not sure it's the first time a teaser has ever been used in radio, but it's very effective. And then we go into recorded music. That was a big deal. Oh my gosh, they don't have a live orchestra on this show, but they were able to do so much with this show because they didn't have an orchestra crowding everybody in the recording studio. So here we go. We're going to listen to. Oh, and another thing about Johnny Dollar, just like last week when we were listening to Sam Spade, and everything was a caper. The eagle caper, the double bat caper. Everything in Johnny Dollar's world is a matter. So this one is called the Big Scoop Matter. And of course, I'm not doing that exactly the way I wanted to. Barry says, yeah, I dated a teaser. It wasn't fun. And the worst thing is, I know who he's talking about because I dated her too. Oh, so terrible. So absolutely terrible. Okay, from 1956, November 11th. This is yours true, Johnny Dollar, The Big Scoop Matter, starring Bob Baer.
I think you know, Johnny.
Oh,
Art
wait, wait.
Wesley.
There we go.
From Hollywood, it's time now for
Johnny Dollar.
Joe McNabb, Northeast Indemnity, Johnny.
Oh, hi, Joe. What's up?
At the moment, my blood pressure.
Too much work?
No. Prospect of having to pay off on a $100,000 life insurance policy.
Uh-oh.
Fella, I think you know, Johnny. Art Wesley.
Oh, sure. Been a pal of mine for years. Reporter.
Yeah. Apparently, he's working on a story right now that somebody doesn't want him to report.
What do you mean?
Night before last, he got beat up in an alley. Yesterday, a car made a pass at him at high speed.
What about today?
It's early yet, Johnny.
Oh, yeah, sure. But let's hope it's not too late.
Bob Bailey in the exciting adventures of the man with the action-packed expense account. America's fabulous freelance insurance investigator.
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar. From Special Investigator Johnny Dollar to the Home Office, Northeast Indemnity Affiliates, Hartford, Connecticut. The following is an accounting of expenditures during my investigation of the Big Scoop Matter. Expense account item 1, $18.40, transportation and incidentals to New York City. I called Art Wesley's paper. He wasn't in and nobody seemed to know where he was. Then I remembered a small bar called Tony's over on 3rd Avenue. I took a cab, that's item 2, $1.25, and found him in a corner booth.
Sorry, Johnny, no bodyguard. The informants I'm working with will take off fast if they spotted one. No informants, no story.
That insurance policy your paper took out on you, who's the beneficiary?
A dear departed wife, Joan.
Departed? I
We
thought...
split up a couple of months ago.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Art.
We were living in 2 different worlds. I wanted a home and family. She wanted a trip to the moon every night.
Where is she now?
Who knows? On her way to the moon, I guess.
Hey, look, this story you're working on, Art.
It's hot, Johnny. And big, real big. A national gambling syndicate. And run by a guy right here in New York.
Who?
I'm getting close, but I'm not sure yet. When I am, then out come my articles.
What's this guy gonna do when you push him into a corner? Look, I'm worried about you.
Look, Johnny, I'm not as foolish as you think. I've got his name written down and put in a safe deposit box with what evidence I got. That's my real insurance.
Oh, Art, look, we've been friends a long time. I'm not gonna let you do this alone.
Sorry, Johnny. I gotta go it alone.
Since I'd gotten nowhere with Art, I decided to try his wife, Joan, even though they were separated. I found her in an apartment on East 68th, but she was hardly what you'd call cooperative.
Look, Mr. Dollar, so you're a friend of Art's. At the moment, I'm not.
Mrs. Wesley, your marriage with Art is none of my business. But that insurance policy his paper took out on him is. And incidentally, you're still the beneficiary.
So?
So he could be in danger, those articles he's writing.
Why doesn't he drop it?
Oh, look, you know Art better than that.
Then what am I supposed to do about it? That story is his business. How I feel about things is my business. And come to think of it, I can't see that either of those things is your business.
Item 3, $1.80 cab fare to police headquarters in the office of my old friend, Detective Lieutenant Rostelli.
Sure. I know about those attempts on Art's life. So I talked to him and got nowhere.
He told me the story's about a national gambling syndicate.
It's more than he told me.
Supposedly the big boss is here in New York. Now, what are you going to do about it?
Look, the minute Art quits thinking he's got to hit the jackpot all by himself and lets us in on it, we'll give him all the protection he... Lieutenant Rostelli. Yeah, just a minute. It's for you, Johnny.
Oh, thanks. Hello?
Art Wesley, Johnny. They told me at your hotel where to reach you.
Anything new, Art?
I'm leaving town for a few hours. This could be it, Johnny. Tonight could be the jackpot.
Well, listen, let me go with you.
Sorry, I gotta go alone. It's part of the deal.
Art, it could be a trap.
I can take care of myself. Call you when I get back. Wish me luck.
Well, look, wait. Art! Art! Item 4, $1.80 cab to Art's apartment, where I persuaded the manager to let me in. I was looking for anything that would give me a lead. Then, near the phone on a scratch pad, I found where he'd written the word Watika several times. Sure, Lake Watika, upstate. Art had a lodge there. Item 5, $25 even for a rented car. It was a 3-hour drive to Lake Watika, which was bad enough. But to top it off, it started to rain, and rain hard. When I finally got to the highway turnoff, the side road to the lake was a mass of mud. Then I got 2 quick breaks. It stopped raining, and I spotted the 6-mile road into Art's place. Half an hour further on, I saw a light. Art's car was parked at one side, and the front door of the lodge was wide open. When I got to it, I saw why. Art was lying in the doorway. Yeah, he was the one who wanted to hit the jackpot. But you can't hit the jackpot with a slug, particularly when that slug is right between your eyes. I drove to the sheriff's office and reported it. Sheriff Tompkins and his boys took over. But in the darkness and the mud, they could only make a routine check. He asked me to meet him at the lodge the next morning, so I did.
The body was right here in the doorway, huh, son?
Yeah, Sheriff, I didn't move it.
And Wesley probably got shot when he answered the door by somebody standing out there on the ground.
Because of that bullet hole in the roof?
Yeah. Right over that shelf that's stocked with canned goods, sugar, salt, and the like. Apparently, he used this place regular.
Yeah, he used to do some of his writing here. Were you able to determine time of death?
Coroner says between 10:30 and 11 last night. What time did you arrive?
About half an hour after the rain stopped. I'd say 11:45.
Means it was still raining a good half hour after the killing. Yeah, no wonder we found no tracks.
Hey, look, Sheriff. Art was working on a hot story about a national gambling syndicate. Could be that he found out who the boss was last night, the hard way.
Oh? Then you think the killer was from out of town, maybe New York?
Yeah. Now, where would he stay? Is there a hotel around here?
Lake Watika Inn, just outside the village, about 6 miles from here.
Sheriff, I'll check it out.
The guests here at the inn, Mr. Dollar? Well, we have only 2 who checked in yesterday. It's the off-season, of course.
Yeah, clerk, who are they?
Well, Mr. Cooper yesterday afternoon and Mr. Buckley around dark.
They still here?
Mr. Cooper is sitting right out there on the terrace, but Mr. Buckley paid in advance and left quite early this morning.
I see. Did Buckley give any reason for stopping here?
He said he was a traveling man and didn't like to drive in the rain.
Okay. I'd like you to write down a description of him. I'll pick it up on the way out.
Oh, I'll be glad to, sir.
Hi.
Oh, good morning.
Enjoying the scenery?
Yes, immensely. Oh, sit down, won't you?
Sure, thanks. My name's Dollar.
Mine's Cooper. You just check in?
I'll just drop by.
I came yesterday.
Pretty up here this time of year.
Yes, certainly is. I really enjoy places like this in the off-season. It's a nice change.
Too bad the weather hasn't been better, huh?
The rainstorm last night? Oh, I enjoyed that, too.
You were out in it?
Oh, no. No, I enjoyed it the way a storm should be enjoyed. In front of the fireplace in my cottage with a drink and a good book. No, Mr. Dollar, I stayed in last night.
And that was that. I picked up the description of the other guest, Buckley, from the clerk and gave it to Sheriff Tompkins, who got out a bulletin on him. Then I drove back to New York City, turned in my rented car, and took a cab. That's item 6, $1.70, to Joan Wesley's apartment.
Yes. They notified me this morning about Art's death. I don't know what to say. What is there to say?
Good question, Mrs. Wesley.
If only he hadn't been so stubborn. If only he'd given up that story about the gambling syndicate or whatever it was.
Yeah. You figure somebody in the syndicate killed him?
Why, of course.
Mrs. Wesley, did you know Art had gone on up to the lodge at Lake Watika?
No. Mr. Dollar, I'm rather tired.
One more thing. Did you go out last night?
No. It was raining. I stayed here in the apartment.
All evening?
All evening.
I see. Well, thanks, Mrs. Wesley. Maybe I was imagining, but it seemed to me Joan Wesley hesitated just a little before telling me she hadn't been out of her apartment last night. And if she had gone to Lake Watika, I checked the basement garage. Her car was clean. Too clean. Item 7, $5 to the garage attendant for some very interesting information. Joan Wesley had ordered her car washed first thing this morning. Why? Because the wheels were covered with mud from last night.
Act 2 of yours truly, Johnny Dollar, in just a moment. Now, Act 2 of yours truly, Johnny Dollar, and the Big Scoop Matter.
I tell you, I didn't leave this apartment last night.
Your car says differently, Joan.
Car?
You had it washed today because it was all muddy. And the reason it was muddy was because you had it out in the rain last night.
Look,
Another thing. You told me you didn't know Art had gone to the lodge. You hadn't heard from him. But the switchboard operator told me you had a call from him yesterday. Now, why else would he call you except to tell you where he was going? Well, how about it, Joan?
All right. Art did call me yesterday and told me he was going to Lake Watika.
And how about last night?
Yes. I went out, but not to Lake Watika.
Art wouldn't give you a divorce. By killing him, you get your freedom and $100,000.
I didn't kill Art. I didn't go up there last night.
And where did you go?
Might as well know. The reason I wanted a divorce from Art was because I'd found someone else.
Oh?
That's where I went for a few minutes last evening.
Why did you lie about the phone call from Art yesterday?
I don't know. I was confused. I was afraid it would look bad for me if it came out that I knew Art had gone up there.
It doesn't look good for you this way, believe me.
Oh, Johnny, I'm telling the truth.
Who is this fella you're interested in?
I don't see why he
Who
has
is
to-
he?
His name is Ted Nash. Will you have to talk to him?
I sure will. And right now. But I was wrong about talking to Ted Nash right now. I called his apartment and got no answer. Item 9, $1.60 cab fare to police headquarters in the office of Detective Lieutenant Rastelli.
You figure this guy Nash and Joan Wesley could have killed Art and used the gambling syndicate threat as a cover, huh?
It's a possibility, Lieutenant.
Well, I'll see what I can find out about Nash. How'd you do at Lake Watika?
2 guests checked in the day of the killing. One a man named Buckley. He left early this morning. Sheriff Tompkins has a bulletin out on him.
Who else?
A fellow named Cooper, who apparently likes to go places in the off-season. Nothing to tie him in particularly.
Cooper, huh? We had a rumble some time ago that a guy named Cooper was involved in that gambling syndicate.
What?
Trouble is, we got no proof.
Hey, wait a minute.
What's the matter?
Art told me he'd put the name of the man he was after in a safe deposit box. If we could find the key to that box.
How about Art's apartment?
Let's take a look. So we looked, and we found the key tucked away in a desk, but only a number on it. Nothing to tell where it was located. I gave it to Lieutenant Rastelli, and he promised to check every bank in town if necessary. While I went on back to Lake Watika to see if the man named Cooper at the inn was the same one Rastelli told me about. When I got there, after a frantic 3-hour drive, I found him comfortably sitting by the fireplace.
Wow, Mr. Dollar, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. Cooper, I'm going to get right to the point. You told me you came up here to enjoy the scenery.
Yes, that's fine. Why?
The man who was killed last night, Art Wesley. He was trying to expose a national gambling syndicate.
Oh, that's very interesting. So?
So, I know a police detective in New York who thinks you're a member of that syndicate.
Well, now, Mr. Dollar, that's a very serious charge. I presume you have proof. Well? No proof. Well, in that case, I don't think there's any...
Dollar, the long-distance call for you. You can take it on that phone right beside you.
Thanks, clerk. Johnny Dollar.
Rastelli in New York, Johnny.
Hi, Lieutenant. You locate that?
Yeah, the safe deposit box, and in it we found the name of the man Art Wesley was closing in on. It's Cooper.
Thanks
all
very
right,
much. Well, Cooper, you wanted proof? We've got it. Evidence that ties you in with the syndicate. Clerk.
Well, now, this is ridiculous,
Is it?
Dollar.
Let me tell you the facts about this thing.
Is something the matter, Mr. Dollar?
Get Sheriff Tompkins on the phone, clerk. Tell him I've got Art Wesley's killer here.
You mean Mr. Cooper?
Oh, now, wait a minute. Now, look, Dollar. If you'd get your facts straight, you'd drop this silly notion of yours.
What kind of facts, Cooper?
What time was Wesley killed?
Between 10:30 and 11 last night.
But, Mr. Dollar, Mr. Wesley's place is some 6 miles from here.
That's right. Why?
Well, then Mr. Cooper couldn't have killed him.
What do you mean?
Last night, I took a drink to Mr. Cooper's cottage here at the inn.
What time?
Around 20 to 11, and I chatted with him for at least 15 minutes.
Are you sure about that?
Oh, quite sure.
Well, Mr. Dollar, I'll buy you a drink sometime.
Cooper strolled back to the bar with a satisfied smirk on his face. So the one man who had to be Art's killer couldn't have killed him. I collared the clerk again and had him repeat his story in detail.
If you recall, it rained heavily last night, Mr. Dollar.
Yes, I drove through it on my way up here.
Well, I was making the rounds of the inn, checking windows, things like that, when the house phone rang. It was Mr. Cooper calling from his cottage. He wanted a drink.
You say that was at 20 to 11?
Yes, I always jot down the time when I am called away from the desk.
All right, go on.
Well, when I got to Mr. Cooper's cottage, he was sitting in the living room in front of the fire with a book.
Yeah.
We chatted a while, and then when I returned here to the desk, I jotted down the time again. 10:55.
Well, that does it.
What do you mean?
Oh, it's a good 20-minute drive from here to Art Wesley's lodge. If he was killed between 10:30 and 11 and Cooper was here at that time, he couldn't have done it.
Well, I'm sorry, but facts are facts. And... Oh, excuse me. Lake Watika Inn. Yes, just a moment. Sheriff Tompkins, Mr. Dollar.
Oh, thanks. Hi, Sheriff.
Thought you ought to know, son. Remember that man Buckley we were looking for?
Yeah, sure, the other guest at the inn.
Yeah, we picked him up. I've been questioning him for an hour.
Any luck?
No, sir. He's just a traveling salesman who stayed at the inn because he didn't want to drive in the rain.
You sure?
Buckley swears he doesn't even know Cooper. Just between you and me, Johnny, I think we got the wrong fella.
No place again. I decided to start all over. Got into my car and drove to Art Wesley's place. Nothing was changed. I remember the trip I'd made the night he was killed, how it rained heavily until about half an hour before I arrived. How I'd found him lying in the open doorway, a bullet hole in his head. Yeah, and the hole in the ceiling over the shelf of provisions, marking the path of the bullet. It was there. So were the provisions. Canned food, mustard, sugar, a package of crackers. There was some... Wait a minute. Sugar. The sugar bowl. I stared at it for a moment. I remembered a couple of things the room clerk at the inn had told me. And suddenly the whole deal slid neatly and quietly into place. I drove back to the inn fast. Cooper's cottage was empty, so I went inside to the bedroom and took a look around. Then I spotted one of the pictures on the wall, a little out of place. I looked behind it. Yeah, just what I expected. Outside, I found Cooper sitting on the terrace in front of the main building. I slid into a chair across from him.
Well, Mr. Dollar, what fantastic crime are you going to accuse me of today?
Cooper, I got a one-track mind, and it's still stuck on murder.
Oh, now look, Dollar, we've been over this before, and personally, I find it quite boring. So much so that it's interfering with my vacation here.
That's too bad.
Yes, it is. So I'm leaving this evening.
I don't think so, Cooper.
Oh, come now.
Art Wesley was trying to expose a figure in a gambling syndicate. You.
Well, that's a matter of conjecture.
You had to stop him, for keeps.
Oh, now look, Dollar. The time of Art Wesley's death has been established as between 10:30 and 11 last night.
That's right, between 10:30 and 11 last night.
And I'm sure you remember the room clerk telling you he was with me in my cottage living room from 10:40 to 10:55.
I sure do.
So that I certainly couldn't have killed your friend Wesley 6 miles from here during that time.
Except that Art Wesley wasn't killed at his lodge.
What are you talking about?
You see, I remembered something else the clerk had told me. The night of the killing, it stopped raining a little after 11.
All right, what difference does that make?
All the difference in the world, believe me. Here's what really happened, Cooper. You killed Art Wesley in the bedroom of your cottage here at the inn.
Oh, don't be ridiculous.
You immediately called the room clerk over and chatted with him in your living room for about 15 minutes. He didn't know there was a corpse in the next room.
Oh, really?
After he left, you took Wesley's body the 6 miles to his place and planted it in the doorway.
Oh, now look, Dollar,
Your problem was to make it look like he'd been killed there. Then you remembered. The slug that had killed him hit the wall in your bedroom. That gave you an idea. You figured out the right angle at the lodge and fired a shot upwards from the outside the door. It went through the ceiling at the back.
All right, Dollar, I've had enough of your half-baked theories with no proof whatsoever to back them up.
Correction, Cooper. This time I've got proof. There was a shelf of food under the bullet hole and a bowl of sugar directly under it.
A bowl of... So what?
When sugar gets wet, it gets crusty, and it stays that way. But the sugar in that bowl was dry. Now, if the killing was between 10:30 and 11, and it rained heavily until after 11, then some rain would have dropped through the bullet hole into the sugar.
I see.
But, Cooper, the sugar was dry. So the bullet hole was made after the time of the murder, when you planted Wesley's body there. Just a little detail, Cooper, but it nails you. That, and of course, the fact I found the slug that really killed Wesley just a couple of minutes ago.
Oh?
Buried in the wall of your bedroom behind a picture you'd moved slightly to cover it.
Well, Dollar, I may as well tell you that I saw you come out of my cottage a few minutes ago. I figured you knew. So ever since you sat down here, I've been holding a gun on you under the table.
You know, Cooper, I may as well tell you. Ever since I sat down here, I've been holding a gun on you, too.
Well, you...
Let's have it.
Well, you didn't have any gun.
A big-time gambler bluffed right out of the game. Cooper, you're slipping. Item 10, $37.50. Transportation and incidentals back to Hartford. Expense account total $187.40. Remarks? Cooper's awaiting trial. About Art Wesley? Well, I guess that sugar bowl was a dead man's revenge. And come to think of it, that revenge was pretty sweet. Yours truly, Johnny Dollar.
Now, here is our star to tell you about next week's story.
Next week, colorful New Orleans, from nightlife in the Latin Quarter to the dismal, deadly swamps. Join us, won't you? Yours truly, Johnny Dollar.
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar, starring Bob Bailey, originates in Hollywood. Written by Robert Reif, it is produced and directed by Jack Johnstone. Heard in tonight's cast were Virginia Gregg, Russell Thorson, Barney Phillips, Stacey Harris, Larry Thor, Parley Baer, and Les Tremaine. Musical supervision is by Amerigo Marino.
So there
Watch
you go.
what avocado does to your inflammation.
Stop it. Stop it. Don't do that. Hang on. I can't believe that happened. So there you go. Yours truly, Johnny Dollar. Oh man, I just love that show. It's very no frills, not a lot of complicated scenes or sound effects, very story driven, very character driven. It certainly has the sort of unpleasant quality that was very common in criminal investigation. You were dealing with very unsavory people who were not really cooperating, and it makes the mystery harder. But our good stalwart investigator, Johnny. Now, you should know that Johnny Dollar comes from law enforcement. He was a policeman for at least a decade. We don't know if he ever made it up to detective, but then he joined the private investigator business profession, and he was a Pinkerton man for a short time. We do find that out later as well. But he's a private investigator who rents himself out to whatever insurance company will pay his action-packed expense account. And that's Johnny Dollar. Now, as I say, he used to do a weeknightly 15-minute show. And honestly, I don't feel like I can do that on this show. You know, I usually like to just play you the show. I don't want to play it for you in parts. But I am thinking about doing another show that will have these radio serials in it, because there are a lot of really good ones. And watch out for that coming up soon. Hey, Raphael joined us as well. What did it broadcast? Raphael, this one was broadcast on November 11th, 1956 on CBS. This was shortly after they were doing the 15-minute weeknightly format. They went back to, and that's an interesting question because this show aired when we're doing it. It aired early Sunday evenings, late Sunday afternoons on CBS. And again, was a huge hit. People loved this show. It really was. What they'll say frequently, and it's not exactly true, but they will say at the end of old time radio, there were only 4 shows left. And one of them was yours truly, Johnny Dollar. The other ones were Suspense and oh my gosh, what was that? And Richard Boone was in it. Wanted Dead or Alive? No, not that one. Have Gun Will Travel. And the 4th show, I don't remember. Raphael, I would agree with that. There are a lot of production shortcuts. Well, one of the things, in the defense of where they were in radio at this point, was there were so few shows that a lot of the really good professionals were then moving over to the shows that were surviving. And that's why we had so many great radio actors on this show, yours truly, Johnny Dollar, Virginia Gregg, Russell Thorson, Barney Phillips, Stacey Harris, Parley Baer, who, as I said in the comments, he used to play Ernie the Keebler Elf. Les Tremaine, who was very famous. Larry Thor, who used to actually star in his own shows, was playing a guest part on yours truly, Johnny Dollar. So there you go. We finally got to play yours truly, Johnny Dollar, and I hope you enjoyed it. You tell me if you thought it was a good show. I do like Stevie's line, Jolly Dollar, more like Johnny the accountant. Well, he made his money on that expense account. So look at us. We're still under an hour, and we got 2 shows in today, so that's fun. If you missed Unsolved Mysteries earlier, it was all right. It was okay. I like that show. It's kind of a short show. And are these immaculate mysteries? I don't know. I mean, they're still kind of cranking them out at this point, even though the writers are good. It's still, radio was really seen as the sort of ugly stepsister to TV at this time, the mid to late 50s, and would never get its groove back. It would never be a big medium from this point onward. But boy, they made some great shows. I can't wait to play you more shows from the late 50s, the early 60s, because the quality, the budgets were small, but the quality was really high. And Barry, I'm so glad you had fun. I hope everybody watching had fun. Next week, I'm not sure what we're going to do next week. We got a couple of minutes if anybody wants to throw out. We'll still do a detective or a detective type. I'm kind of loving that for September. And then as we get into October, I think I'm going to get a lot more supernatural. Here's from Raphael. In this ear radio switching over to pre-recorded music. Boy, I really... Yes, pre-recorded music was a very big deal. It really did save a lot of money to not have the CBS orchestra, which was one of the finest orchestras in the world. And I will bet Spider Hat on that. And I don't mess around with Spider Hat. I love Spider Hat. I'm glad you had a wonderful time, Stevie. And the pre-recorded music does give it a very sort of canned kind of quality, but I still like it. Bob Bailey. How can you not like Bob Bailey? Stevie says Nick Carter. Nick Carter's an excellent choice. I will dig you up an episode of Nick Carter for next week. Fantastic. So much story to Nick Carter. Very, very big deal. Sherlock Holmes. Oh, with Basil Rathbone. Let me make sure I write this down. You know I like to write down your suggestions. Why do I pencil? And how? Why do I have a candy cane? I have a candy cane in my pencil cup. Oh, pardon me, everybody. Okay, I really do love the Sherlock Holmeses, and again, there was almost always a Sherlock Holmes show on radio. Thank you, Ty Lord. I'm so glad you enjoyed it. It's a little different, and everybody, Ty Lord, check him out. He's got his own YouTube channel. Lots of great stuff. And you're not wrong, Stevie. It is a really old candy cane. I think this candy cane's like 5 years old. I don't know. I can't throw away anything. Sugar solved the mystery tonight, and that's the theme to why I hoard old stale candy canes. All right, my friends, let's wrap it up for this week. And thank you so much. 5 p.m. next week. I still have to talk to Joe Townsend about bringing back Retro Rangers. That's going to happen at some point. And you just stop. Thank you, Stevie. Thank you, Barry. Yes, thank you very much. Thanks for dropping by, Raphael. Thanks for dropping by, Tyler. So many great folks peeking in tonight and next week at 5. Just like every week. See you next time. Bye, everybody.